In progress.
Let's discuss developmental delays in our students. So, our standard definition is that a child is 1.5 standard deviations or more below the average perception, before the below the average child. And this is the acquisition of skills and abilities that a child typically learns and their average progression. So this includes cognitive development, physical development, communication development, social emotional development, and adaptive development. This affects children as defined by the state ages 3 to 9. And those are the standard ages that we are talking about when we are discussing developmental delays. So characteristics of developmental delays are delay or disability in cognitive development, the intellectual side, language and communication skills, delays in adaptive development, which are our everyday life and social skills, delay or disability in social emotional development, and as well as delay or disability in motor development. So the cognitive development is the intellectual ability to acquire and apply information, problem solving, reasoning, organization, attention, and memory delays. There's the delay in communication and language, which is the use and acquisition of language, the fluency of communication, the oral motor skills. So the entire physical mechanism of speech and the voice and quality of the voice. Adaptive development are the skills necessary for daily living that we learn through play and in our daily lives. So this would be things like brushing your teeth or going to the bathroom or hanging your jacket up on the coat rack, any number of these skills that are required to meet personal needs, social responsibilities, and participate in developmentally appropriate situations and cultural groups. There's delay in social emotional development, which is delay in emotional recognition or expression, various circumstances and skills, the normal variation against that standard group of average skills for students aged 3 to 9. There's delay in disability in motor development, which is the gross and fine motor skills, as well as proprioception, or the body's awareness of where it is in space and what it's doing. So this covers things from just maintaining an upright posture to walking to how our fingers function and move and our dexterity with that would be the fine motor skills and our ability to grasp objects and use tools. So here is a quick video on breaking down developmental delay and disorders.
Developmental disorders in children. Developmental delay. What is developmental delay? Developmental delay is a condition whereby preschool children fail to acquire the skills appropriate for their age. The delay severity varies from mild to severe. What causes developmental delay? The cause of developmental delay is still not clearly delineated, but genetic and environmental factors are crucial among the known factors. The congenital factors include genetic or chromosomal diseases. Pregnancy and childbirth factors include misuse of drug or excessive alcohol consumption during pregnancy, complication of birth, and prematurity. Acquired factors include infant and childhood illnesses, toxication, brain injury, encephalitis, or brain trauma. In addition, environmental factors such as parents busy at work, lack of appropriate social or language stimulation, will also affect children's development. However, the cause of developmental delay is still unknown in many children. What are the symptoms of children with developmental delay? Children with developmental delay show delay in achieving early developmental milestones. At 6 months of age, children still cannot keep their head steady or reach out with their hands to grasp objects. At the age of 1, children cannot hold onto furniture to stand or pick up small objects with their thumb and index fingers. At the age of 1.5, children cannot walk alone. At the age of 2, children cannot speak in single words such as car or dog, or follow simple instructions such as give to mummy. At the age of 2.5, children cannot scribble with a pen on paper or combine words into phrases such as eat cake, drink milk. At the age of 3, children cannot speak in simple sentences such as I want biscuit, or match basic colors and shapes. How does developmental delay affect children? Children may show delay in one or several areas. These areas include intellectual and cognitive ability. Intellectual and cognitive ability includes the ability to learn, think, and solve problems. Language ability. Language ability includes verbal comprehension, expression, and speech development. Gross motor ability. Gross motor ability includes developmental milestones such as sitting, crawling, walking, running, and jumping. Body strength, balance, and limbs coordination. Fine motor ability. Fine motor ability includes eye-hand coordination and finger dexterity, grip strength, and pre-writing skills. Social adaptive function. Social adaptive function refers to skills such as social and communication skills, self-care, and basic daily living skills. Due to individual differences in the cause, the degree of impairment, and the growth environment, children with developmental delay may show variations in their performance. What is the outlook of children with developmental delay? In preschool years, developmental delay may be a symptom of other developmental disabilities. As children reach school age, they may have communication difficulties, learning problems, and even emotional and behavioral problems. Therefore, early identification and intervention is important in addressing the developmental needs of these children and in the prevention of further impairment. Where can parents seek help if their children are suspected to have developmental delay? Parents can go to the Maternal and Child Health Center or private practitioner for initial assessment. If necessary, referral can be made to Child Assessment Center or Pediatric Department of Hospital for further assessment. For children with developmental delay in specific areas, doctors will refer them to receive physiotherapy, occupational therapy, or speech therapy service. For children with global developmental delay, they will be referred to receive preschool rehabilitation services, including on-site preschool rehabilitation service, early education and training center, integrated program in kindergarten cum childcare center, and special childcare center.
All right. So Oregon defines eligibility by students scoring at least 1.5 or more standard deviations below the average of 2 or more developmental areas. And again, that average is those milestones that are thought to be the standard growth rate and milestones of an average child that's not facing any sort of developmental delay or disability. So that again is our cognitive, intellectual development, physical development, communication development, social and emotional, and adaptive development. Uh, Similarly, to be eligible, it must be determined that the child aged 3 to 5, their disability has an adverse impact on developmental progress. For age 5 to 9, which is school age, the student's disability needs to have an adverse impact on their educational performance. As a result, the child needs special education services as a result of the delay is part of that eligibility, and that the team that is assessing the child thought to have a delay has determined that their eligibility is not due to a lack of proper instruction, language inefficient or limited English proficiency, and not due to any other sort of disability. So there, with those 5 categories, we have a whole bunch of different accommodation strategies. For physical delays, using songs and stories with finger plays to develop those fine motor skills, which is a really great one that we use in music. John Feierabend, it developed an entire curriculum that includes finger plays and stories that use things like the Itsy Bitsy Spider, other sorts of stuff. I have a ton of those that I'm glad to talk about. Then that's also stuff like using non-slip mats under papers and thick writing and art materials like crayons, pens, pencils, markers to help with grasping and making sure that your paper isn't moving anywhere. Using daily physical activities to run, jump, climb, etc. is great for building that gross muscle control, that gross muscle function, and putting objects in students' hands to feel, part of that really kinesthetic part. For cognitive development, we can break things down. We can break tasks down into smaller steps, like math problems or other tasks that require a process. We can demonstrate those steps and have students repeat the steps just one step at a time to ensure that understanding. Use short and simple sentences to ensure understanding, and repeat those instructions and directions very frequently. Just a constant broken record repeating those steps and instructions. For communication, we can, in our classrooms, use large and clear pictures for what we are saying and to tie it into the concepts that we are trying to teach. Paraphrasing back what students are saying helps with communication. Labeling areas of the classroom and supplies with words and pictures. And I feel most importantly, modeling correct speech patterns and avoiding correcting speech difficulties. Setting that good example lets them learn and apply, and we're not beating down their self-confidence because we're pointing out that, like, hey, this is wrong. For social emotional learning, we can point out the consequences of students' behaviors, and as often as possible, use the natural consequences of behaviors to enforce the consequences and aid in behavioral learning. Explaining reasons and reasoning for rules and limits in languages students can understand, like why we have those rules and why we have limits. And again, pulling back to those natural consequences could be great. Brainstorming with students, better choices. Like if I had a student who hit somebody out of anger and we decided to go meet with our social emotional advocates and discuss what are some better choices we could make in the future the next time we get upset that's not hitting someone. And putting students' feelings into words can be a great accommodation and learning strategy. Adaptive behavior, minimize distractions and possibilities for overstimulation in the classroom. Teach and model rules and practices for bus safety, playground safety, classroom safety, anywhere that you have a routine or specific rules and such. Teach them, model them, and let them practice. Providing students with opportunities to practice asking for help and performing tasks independently does wonders for aiding children's development in this category. And again, breaking each skill down into steps and easy, small, bite-sized chunks that students can grasp. Adaptive technologies include some low-tech things like pencil grips to help with that fine muscle control of using pencils and gripping. Special paper types like graph paper or raised line paper for help in writing. Slant boards and spring-loaded or loop scissors are another great adaptive technology that helps students don't have to pull the scissors apart. They can just grip and then loosen, and the scissors themselves push out and adapts in that. Mid to high tech would be things like audiobooks and text-to-speech software, as well as FM radio transmission systems. So students would wear the receiver and the teacher wears the microphone, and it directly transmits to the receiver. And students can hear it more clearly without background noise or distractions. Similarly, this is also a great technology for students who have audio processing issues or might be hard of hearing. So to answer some of your questions, how is students' emotional or social development measured to determine if it's delayed? Again, this is using those milestones that have been determined by doctors and institutions that would be the normal progression that a child would follow as they grow in age. So that's things like speaking ability and application of speech that was discussed in the video, as well as muscle coordination and strength, and other categories that we typically see in the standard growth of children. Positive effects of physical activity on students with developmental delays. So this is a great one. Physical activity and guided physical activity is amazing for helping students develop gross motor skills, as well as fine motor skills and muscle tone. In clinical settings, students will often be referred to physiotherapists and physical therapists, as well as occupational therapists that help with these sorts of things. And physical activity is just another thing for them to work on and helps with the development of these skills and the muscle groups. Finally, developmental delays continuing into high school and adulthood. Not necessarily. The best way to put it is that the effects of the delays, if not addressed and treated, can continue on. But the developmental delay stuff is kind of more it's fixing the problem or trying to help fix or adapt for the problem. So if a student doesn't receive support for, a language delay, it could definitely have repercussions in high school and adulthood because they never received the help and aid that would help with those delays, if that makes. Finally, here are sources. The Due to Learn educational resources for special needs is a fantastic place to get information on adaptive techniques that we can use in the classroom. Highly recommend that for anybody looking. And thank you.